Hello! I'm your host for today's episode. I'm Jennifer Sanggalang Omandal. Thank you for joining us today. Well, we're glad to have you here because this podcast is about to show you some realization and facts from the documentary titled The Social Dilemma, the hidden truths that we always tend to ignore. So I hope you stay tuned until the end and join me throughout this podcast. Thank you! As you watch the documentary, it told us about certain topics that cured our ignorance and how the internet affects our daily lives, routine, and psychology, especially on how we see things in our own perspective and perception. Our views in politics, it affects us through the way that we never expect. These social media things manipulate our thoughts silently, even through the slightest trigger. Because most of us always base on the first thing that we read on the internet without checking facts and analyzing if it's truth or not. The so-called the massive-scale emotional contagion experiment. An emotional states can be transferred to others via emotional contagion, leading people to experience the same emotions without their awareness. Emotional contagion is well established in laboratory experiments. It can't affect real-world behavior and emotions to go vote in the midterms election. For example, one groundless articles about agenda or whereabouts of politician posted on social media, then millions of users would see it within a second and it would spread drastically in a world where most of its users are lazy and ignorant in fact-checking and analyzing the whole context. The larger the connection is the higher the chance of possibilities that the same thing appear on your feed and keep telling you that these are truths and you have to believe it. Like planting seeds inside your mind, watering it with more recommendations and let it grow until they finally consume you. That's how it works, same way on how the trend being trending because the algorithm were made to predict and give lots of suggestions that user might like or click or view next. It was as if the trend is the disease and all the users are infected, like those videos on TikTok or Facebook. We the users are meant to join the trend because that's how they program us. They exactly know how human psychology works by those team of engineers whose job is to hack people's psychology. First thing I learned is the very meaning of this culture is manipulation. We are all manipulated. And the only way to escape this is to cut off all your access from social media or the internet. Second thing I learned is we are all lab rats. They are experimenting and studying our behavior as well our psychology, and had a fully control and awareness about what we felt and what we does. Next thing I learned is we are the products. Our attention is the product being sold to advertiser. All the social media, all those companies, their business model is to keep people engaged on the screen. They are competing for our attention. Also, I learned that we are programmed at a deeper level. We always thought that everything on the web are the only thing that programmers digitally designed, but we the user are also programmed to do the task they prepared to. And lastly, the whole new generation is more anxious, more fragile, and more depressed for comparing themselves to unrealistic standard of beauty that social media set up. How do you wake up from the matrix when you don't know you are in the matrix? This quotation is a simple reminder that we need to realize first that we are trapped inside the matrix and we aren't aware of it. The matrix that keep on manipulating us and we don't care about it at all. We don't care of how much data and money they gain from us as long as they fulfilling our needs and ego. Simply because this part of the matrix and it was made for this. This is a new way to manipulate public opinion, a new means to divide or isolate us and pick a side. This issue is always the roots of misleading information and misunderstanding. This one required a lot of attention and discussion to avoid further misconception in the future, because this platform is also created to connect each other and serves as an advanced way to gathering data or information if we all know how to use it right. Thank you for staying with me and my podcast until here. This is the indication that our today's discussion will end now here. I'm grateful for everyone who put an extra effort to listen and had joined me throughout this podcast. Again, I'm your host, Jennifer Sanggalang Umandal. Until next time, thank you.